Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Does your warehouse waste time and money managing forklift batteries? Enersys can energize your operations with a customized solution, delivering the power you need while minimizing ownership costs. Enersys starts by analyzing your operations and then selecting from their comprehensive range of battery and charger technologies, develops a truly optimized system tailored to your needs. Enersys gives you the power to increase productivity and profitability. See how Enersys puts power in motion for you at enersys.com. Businesses are retooling fulfillment operations, from warehouses to omnichannel, to meet new demand amid unprecedented labor shortages. 3PLs, retailers, B2B distributors, and others are turning to flexible fulfillment solutions like 6 River Systems to adapt and scale. 6 River Systems Fulfillment Execution System is an integrated solution that combines intelligent, cloud-based software and automation, including its autonomous mobile robot, AMR, Chuck. No costly or disruptive infrastructure changes, fast and easy associate training, and integrations with other warehouse execution solutions allow operations to meet labor challenges, increase efficiency, and enhance customer engagement. Go to www.6river.com to learn more. Go to www.6river.com to learn more.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. On today's episode, I'm going to be joined by Gil Bar-Lev. He is the CEO and founder at HomeRoots, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about his background in warehousing, some challenges and experiences that he's faced in the past, and how that's kind of brought him to found this company, HomeRoots, and how they're kind of looking at distribution and business in a little bit of a different way for B2B. So I'm going to welcome Gil to the show. So, Gil, welcome. How are you today?
Hey, Kevin. Thank you very much for hosting me today. I'm great. Listen, I'm calling you from New Jersey, the northern side. It's a sunny, warm day.
Yeah.
Can't ask for more in the summertime.
Yeah, and I'm here in a little further south in New Jersey, holding it down on the other side of things. And same thing here, good weather today. So why don't you tell us first, I guess, a little bit about your background and how you kind of got to the point where you are now in founding this company.
Sure. In my background, I'm actually a software engineer. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the tech space, did a lot of software development over the first couple of years of my career. Then I got to join Toys R Us. Mm-hmm. I led a project where they integrated with Amazon while Amazon was doing the e-commerce front sales, and Toys R Us were more on the back end, mm-hmm. providing the products, obviously, to be sold, but also doing the shipping and logistics, as well as the financial aspects of the transactions with Amazon. So that what got me exposed to e-commerce. Besides software development, got me exposed and experience with e-commerce, and I think I found a good marriage between those two things, and pretty much I fell in love. And since then, even though I tried different industries, different things, just to see if I would like anything else, but that always has been my passion. And I came back to that combination of the two, which is, again, e-commerce and tech. But through my experience with Toys R Us, obviously I got exposed to wholesale, import, export. I got exposed to retail on a global scale, right? They were operating internationally, not just in the U.S. And I've learned a lot from that. I've learned a lot that after my departure from Toys R Us, I opened up a new company that basically helped brands sell online.
Okay.
And part of our services that we did beyond just promoting online is that we were doing the fulfillment for them. Right, so they will send their merchandise over to our fulfillment centers, and then we will do the fulfillment on their behalf. So when we got orders, we took care of everything. It was very similar to what Amazon is now doing with the fulfillment by Amazon. We just did it on a smaller scale and more like a brand-by-brand level.
Interesting.
And that was my first experience with managing a warehouse,
Okay.
managing warehouse employees, running the operations, understanding the challenges. Understanding the challenges of a growing warehouse and what does it mean to maintain its clients. And that's how I got into all this business. But, I've done fast forwarding some few more years, and got big experience in logistics, e-commerce, retail, wholesale, again, all in the touch of IT. And I saw how the direct-to-consumer, how it's called today, or maybe in the last, at least a sexy name, B2C, I've learned how many solutions are out there. And really, almost even today, there's a lot of solutions out there in the B2C space. Yeah. But I always thought that there was something missing in the B2B. I thought myself, okay, I'm thinking of the brands, thinking of the manufacturers, okay, they want to go and sell into a market, not just to one or two, not just to specific consumers online or depending on other marketplaces or something. They want to sell to the entire market and get into retail. How do they go about it, right? So if you're domestic, if you have a lot of cash, okay, you can go to trade shows, exhibit again, exhibit for the third time, and then maybe you start getting some business flowing with salespeople, with managing a warehouse, managing, back office people. Again, a lot of cash, a lot of liquid that needs to be injected into starting this business. But eventually you can get your foot through the door. Obviously people have done it throughout the ages. I'm sure they can continue doing it. But what if you're a smaller player and now domestic? Now it's becoming a lot more difficult. And I think that's where HomeRoots is really more applicable, right? We're providing them an access to the retailers where they can be anywhere in the world, not even understanding the local culture or not being that good even in English. To do business here and to do business quite well. So that's the essence of HomeRoots. We're helping the smaller guys all around the globe get a piece of the pie.
Very interesting, and it's an interesting journey as well to get to where you are now. So I want to take a step back, and I'm curious about you were started as a software engineer. And then you mentioned, you started this business similar to Fulfillment by Amazon. And, it's an interesting switch, I guess you could say, from software engineer to managing warehouse and logistics. So tell us a little bit about that transition and some of the things that, because I think that, I'll say that I think a lot of people now, especially, there's such a buzz, I guess you could say, around supply chain and things of that nature, due to the pandemic. It's become such a popular topic, and now I think there's a lot of people that are, potentially switching gears a little bit and trying to get into supply chain or thinking about, a career in supply chain that maybe weren't thinking about it before. So I'm curious, how was that transition, and what's some advice to people you would give from, going from software engineering into like warehouse management? How did that transition work, and what were some of the challenges you might have had there?
Yeah. So I can tell you that as a software engineer, and again, I'm going to try to generalize things. Okay, not to, and I'm not here to offend anybody. Each one can have their own selection in life and inspiration. But, generally speaking, you got the two types of, or the way I saw it in the past, at least, was that, I had two paths in software development. One path was to dig deeper into the code, understanding the layer underneath, and dig deeper and deeper into various technologies that are coming out and how to utilize them, understand them really from under the hood, and really be the guru of implementations of those technologies out there. And that's a path that many are attempting to take. Some of them are more successful than others, but that can become an inspiration for someone who wants to be really the best at coding, right? I will consider myself that I was good in coding. I was pretty good. I was actually pretty good. I'm not saying I was the best, but I was pretty good. But I always had a different inspiration. I always was looking at the implementation of why we're writing the code to begin with. Okay. So for me, it was less about how good, how else or how the code really works under the hood. It was me, why we're writing code to begin with. What's the business case here? And that led me to a different path in my career where I became a face to other companies, at first, more of other technical people, within time even to other CTOs from different countries, maybe mainly around Europe at that time, that were my company worked with. And I became more like a translator, right, from the technical business needs to the developer. And within time, I said, okay, I want more. I really need more. And I think when I got involved, because my expertise was in the online, at that time it was called, I don't think people are using it right now anymore. It was called intranet, right, or coding for intranet, meaning our own websites, internal website. And so I always liked the web development, and I remember being looked down at by the desktop developers, right? They're saying web dev is not a real dev. What is JavaScript, or what is VBScript, or I don't know. At that point in time was ASP, and PHP, and Java just got started and all that. And they were saying, that's not real languages. You don't really have the full capacity. That's not a real thing. It's a fad. But I saw more than that, and I think when I got into Toys R Us, that really when my eyes opened up to the land of possibilities. Okay, you have this code, you have technology, but technology is a tool. It's a skill that you have that you can deploy, but that there's a world around that, and a world that I wanted to explore. And even though I did not necessarily get too much to explore during my expertise with Toys R Us, when I did start my own business, I had to learn it from scratch. And when you're starting a new business, you're on a tight budget. And being on a tight budget, sometimes you have to do things on your own. And leveraging my software development skills from back in the day, I was able to build some few things internally that we use just to bootstrap the business. Like tools like inventory management, or how to segregate inventory based on different accounts, or how to deduct inventory while orders are coming out, how to lock inventory. A lot of things that, relatively speaking, in a small scale, they're very easy to develop rather quickly, and you don't need to build something fancy. And I leverage my software development skill to deploy them and use them as part of the business. And that's how I got transitioned. That's how I got to learn more and more about, what are the challenges in managing inventory? What are the challenges of handling inbound shipment, outbound shipment, reporting that customers are expecting to see. And I had to kind of build it from scratch. And working with the users, working with the customers, I've learned a lot. And so again, it's using a toolkit, a skill that I had, that I did not have to be the best at it. Right? There was no need to have the best inventory and reporting system that is out there. And I think at that point in time, even the bar was not necessarily, not that I did a bad job, I did a good job, but I think the bar was not set that high compared to what you have right now. That you really need to start your baseline at a different level. But that's what got me exposed, and that's how I got the experience in knowing how to work it out and how to optimize different warehouse activities. For example, I'll give you one example that we had. Is how do you sort the inventory in a warehouse? So how do you sort the pick list for the picker when they need to pick the inventory, right, and prepare for a shipment, right? So they need to pick it. They're going to go through a certain route in the warehouse. Right, you got to make sure that route is the shortest. Right? How do you do it? Right, so problems like that were easily solved just by deploying different software development and engineering skills.
Yeah, very interesting advice there, I would say, because I think that sometimes you get caught up in the mindset that, okay, I'm going to go try something new, and it's like totally different. Right, but it's like you were saying, it is different, but you had these skills already, and then you kind of looked and said, what skills do I have that, now I can apply to this, and how can I use that? Like you said, the toolkit, right? You've built this toolkit already, and I think that's a really interesting thing to point out, not only just from transitioning into a new type of role, or changing your career a little bit, or even, just moving from, you're just at an entry level position, and you've gotten a promotion to move up to a different level or something like that. You take the tools that you've already learned and built, and then, how do you apply those to your new situation? I think that's really a great advice there. So I appreciate that insight there, and definitely I think that's a very useful piece of information. So now let's talk a little bit about HomeRoots itself. So you talked a little bit about, HomeRoots kind of caters to this B2B side of the business, and gives them a little bit different way to do business than they typically would. But, give us kind of the overview of HomeRoots, and what really is HomeRoots.
Sure. So good point and a good segue. So HomeRoots is a B2B selling platform for manufacturers of furniture and home decor items that are interested in selling into the United States market or the North American market. All right, so we help them with basically getting their products, the manufacturer's products, sold by some of the largest retailers in the U.S., alongside with some leading e-commerce companies, or even small to medium-sized e-commerce companies, as well as, brick-and-mortar stores, interior designers, home stagers, property managers, and businesses in general. And most likely that manufacturers, even if those manufacturers or those wholesalers are domestic, domestically located, still the chances of them being able to do business with those guys, it's really limited to none, and it's really hard to maintain so many different accounts. And so that's what HomeRoots basically offers its manufacturers. Is not just it's basically three things. One is access, and almost guaranteed that those products will be offered to the end consumer. Again, I'm not guaranteeing, I'm saying almost guaranteeing, because each supplier, each retailer has their own requirements, and we need to respect that and go by that. For example, I can tell you Home Depot does not want us to sell jewelry on their website. Okay?
No.
So if somebody comes with jewelry, even though that's not what we're doing right now. Sorry, I can't help you get there. They don't want it. So I got to respect it and abide by that. So that's essentially what we're doing. Now, so I'm starting with the platform. So it's the first aspect, as I said, the first aspect is just to get them through the door and get those products actually offered, and put the eyeballs, as many eyeballs as possible, that are going to review those products. So that's the first thing.
Right.
The second thing is not just about the speed to the market, which is extremely crucial in many times, but it's also about the quality. Right, so our system knows how to enhance descriptions, how to enhance the content, the title, bullet points, lifestyle photos. Our system does it on the fly. So when we are doing it and when we're pushing the products onto those retailers, they're basically getting an enhanced version, an enhanced digital version of the products. Now, you can imagine if you have a seller from, I don't know, pick a country anywhere in the world that does not speak English, okay, or even sometimes they do speak English, but it's a different English, the spelling of things. It doesn't mean that they can write a good English that the local audience, domestic audience, will like to read, as well as that it caters to their local culture, right? So you got this, you got the lifestyle photos, and so you have we really lower the bar for entry for those guys that really their English is really limited, and they don't have a good Photoshop skills, and they do not have a photo studio that they can afford to generate those lifestyle photos. So we made it very simple for them. And then comes the third thing, right, which is closer to what we're talking about today, which is we had suppliers tell us, your system is excellent, I love it, I'm doing so much with that, but, or I see the possibilities, but I need a place to store my goods.
Right.
Okay, because our requirements on our platform is that all the merchandise is shipped from a US-based warehouse. We need to have it in the US-based warehouse because that's what the retailers want. They want to be able to place an order with us and get it shipped within a day or two at max and get delivered quickly. Nobody wants to wait 6 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, and so on. So the goods have to be here. So when we came out, when we were explaining this requirement to suppliers, many of them telling us, okay, that's good, but we do not have a warehouse in the U.S. What do we do? So we decided to launch the Fulfillment by HomeRoots program, where we have warehouses across the nation where suppliers have the ability to use our platform to send merchandise to our fulfillment centers, and we will do the fulfillment for them. Very similar to Fulfillment by Amazon, pretty much. It's just on a different scale, dealing with what I like to call a more challenging set of products, because furniture is heavy, bulky, not always fit on the not always fit on the pallet properly, and not always fit on the bin. Doesn't fit on the bins as well. On the bins as well. So, it has its own challenges. So you got to find the right warehouse partners that can go with you, can really help you, and have an interesting story about it. Actually, how we got started with the Fulfillment by Warehouse, the Fulfillment by HomeRoots, fulfillment services.
Yeah. So are you guys, before we get to that, are you guys now, you said warehouse partners, so you're working with like 3PLs, or you have your own distribution centers that you're using?
It's a mix. Okay. So we start with our own, or for some regions we may use a 3PL, but then when we see enough capacity, we'll usually move to our own.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Because we need a little bit more control over things. Or that we get into some type of a joint venture or partnership with a warehouse on a different scale. We just need to be a little bit more in control over what's going on. We do not want to be deprioritized.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer.
Right. Interesting. And I think you had a story about that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a story for 2 years ago, more or less 2.5 years ago. So we had a situation where we were looking to do some testing with the warehouse, mainly initially even for ourselves, just to get it going before we were asking others to join. And so we stored a bunch of SKUs in a warehouse, and we set the expectation up front. You don't listen. We're going to test it out. We're going to see how it looks like, how it works, how our system integrates with yours, how the orders are flowing, making sure that you feel comfortable, we feel comfortable, and then we're going to scale it as we move along. And of course, it takes time, to connect all the dots and make sure that everything's growing. But next thing you know, month over month, the business grown and started picking up, really like more decent business. Definitely had a few containers already coming in. Started to see, on the warehouse side, started to get more and more decent business for them that they can see the return on investment. But one day out of nowhere, and I remember going off to, and it was even done on the weekend. Yeah. And I remember going off to a family vacation at that time, and the owner called me with his second in command at that time. I don't know if she's still there, but second in command at that time. And they called me up and told me, by Monday, you're going to take all your goods and leave the warehouse. And I'm like, and again, we're talking about that was the summer of 2020, right? Pandemic already hit.
Yeah.
Warehouse employees was it was a rare commodity. Not to mention finding trucks, and not to mention finding someone not to mention finding a warehouse, someone you can move to. And I told the guy, listen, I get the fact that you may no longer want me there. I mean, it was there. So my first question was, did I do anything wrong?
Yeah.
Was there, happy with the growth? Is there something that we're not, did I upset someone and I don't know of? And he said, no, we just have other commitment. We see other possibilities with other potential customers, and we need the space that you're occupying. And therefore, we need you to leave because they want to start doing business with us next week. I said, okay, logically speaking, if you were in my position, and today it's the weekend, what would you do if by Monday you need to send over a truck to collect the goods? And where are you gonna send them?
Yeah.
Where? Right? And the second in command response was, listen, not my problem.
No.
It's yours. Right? And I can't tell you how difficult it was for me, but I told him at the end of the day, I went for her because apparently she was more on the hard-headed ones, but I waited for the call to end. I cooled down a little bit because you can imagine stuff like that can really get you pissed off.
I can imagine,
and that was supposed to be a family vacation on the weekend, that got completely took a different turn.
Yeah.
And I remember an hour later I called the owner. I told him, listen, dude, just put yourself in my position. Can you even do it? What you're asking of me, put aside whether you want the business needs or not.
Yeah.
Is it even feasible? Can you actually ask me to execute such things and knowing that I'll be able to do it? Realistically, do you think I can really do it? And his first response was, we told you, it's not our problem. I told him, so you know what? It's not my problem as well that you want to bring in a new customer. That's really not my problem. We got into this engagement. We have an agreement in place.
Yeah.
You need to honor this agreement. I need time. And so I like it that, it's not my problem that you want me to move out.
Yeah.
And I'm now at this point, I'm not interested in staying any longer. You just took all my enthusiasm of working with you away. What you're asking just ain't going to happen. So it's going to work based on my time.
Yeah.
Now, I told you, if you want to obfuscate the goods because I'm still staying there, you're not allowing me access to it, then things can go really south from here on. So you've got to make a decision. So eventually, at the end of the conversation, we agreed to do it month by month. Where at the end of the day, what it came to a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Right. That's the bottom line. Right. They wanted more money.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just that they just walked around the subject, not hitting it for some reason.
Yeah.
And I had to choose between paying a little bit more unexpectedly and still be able to fulfill and support my customers, or to stop operation and potentially lose additional business. So I did 1 + 1. We decided to agree on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah.
And I remember I needed like 45, 50 days later, and I was gone.
Yeah.
Again, it was a very challenging time. Even now, I don't think it's very easy to find a warehouse that you can rely on, and a trucking company can help you move the goods. Again, we're not dealing with small boxes here. We're dealing with expensive stuff. So this was a challenge. Now, the funny story at the end of the day, and I remember going back to them, talking about how, they're treating their customers in a way, or their, even a partner, you can say to a certain degree, treating their partners in a way that they don't want to be treated themselves like that. So the funny story is that 2 years later, the second in command there is applying for a job and want me to hire her. So it was just, it's funny how the world is very small, spins very fast, it's very round. And just a lesson learned: never be an asshole, be a mean person to others, and just always strive to get to a win-win situation with the other party. Never look for just smashing the other side. It never works. The world is small. We were both in New Jersey. We both had overlap in a similar space. Yeah. We're both in the e-commerce, both in logistics, both, the owner and I even lived in closer, we even lived close to each other. So we know each other to a certain degree. Yeah. I won't say that we're friends, but we know each other to a certain degree. It's just not just don't do it. Just don't go that route. And it's just that's that's a lesson learned. So apparently what they were trying to pull back in the day didn't work out. If now they're looking to close out and look for another job. But it's just they could have ended up completely different by now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good story. I mean, it's certainly a lesson to be learned there on the other side as well. Not to burn the bridges, and there's a certain way to approach doing business, and if it's more money, then it's not. You don't necessarily want to upset the person that you want to ask for more money. It doesn't work too well, right? So very interesting experience and story there. I want to go back a little bit and talk about the idea of looking at the B2B side of things in more of a B2C way. So why do you think really that is a necessary thing for the industry now?
Sure. So tell you what's the driving factor, has been the driving factor for many companies, many retailers, is really their online sales. Right, that has been the growing factor. Now, I'm not saying that companies do not grow their brick and mortar. We're working with their brick and mortar stores. We still, the brick and mortar stores has the largest market share in the overall retail sales than the e-commerce. But really, the growing factor here is the e-commerce. And when you're operating a website, you're not ordering in bulk all the time. If you're relying on drop shipping, right? You have a website, and most retailers do not stock their merchandise for drop shipping, for the website. I'm not saying they don't in general, but I'm saying majority of the products offered for sale are not warehoused in their own warehouses. They're warehoused somewhere else. Okay, and if they're using HomeRoots, then they're warehoused in the U.S., but they're definitely not warehoused in the retailers. Not most of them, at least. So with that said, you need to be able to get orders that are onesies and twosies, right? You're going to get an order for one sofa, one desk, one chair, one wall clock. Maybe you're going to get two, maybe three, okay? But still, those are small orders. They're considered to be more of e-commerce size orders.
Right.
They're not bulk or wholesale orders per se. So you're expecting, as a retailer, you're expecting the vendor that you rely on to ship the goods similar to what a consumer will expect you to ship it, right? Fast, without any damages, get it delivered quickly, and as cheap as possible, right? Yeah. It's not always, you cannot always check all those boxes, but you need to inspire to check all those boxes when you're doing when you're offering products for sale and when you're offering products for drop shipping. Right, and that's where some of the warehousing kicks in, some of the capabilities there. So going back to your question, why B2B should be more like B2C, I think that because the e-commerce is a driving factor, and at that point in time, it's just passing on the buck from the online retailer to the vendor to do the fulfillment. It's as if from an operational standpoint, it's the same as if the consumer is ordering the item. Right, it's the same thing. So you got to be able to meet a requirement, fulfillment requirement, same as what the retailer is promising on a B2C to the consumer. Similar to that. And you need to be able to provide transparency to where the item is. Has it been shipped? Has it not? Has it been delivered? Are there any exceptions? En route to the recipient, are there any exceptions? Retailers are expecting that. They want that, and I can tell you that not everybody does that. Not every drop shipper out there that are offering drop shipping services really offering those services, but at HomeRoots we do. So we see that as an added value to our retailers, and they just need it because at the end of the day they need to relay this information to the consumer. Right? They don't just use it for their own sake. They need to pass it along. So the consumer wants to see it. The consumer wants to know, hey, if there's any delays in the delivery, I want to know about it. I want to know that the carrier is getting delayed because it couldn't find the suite number or my apartment number in the building, because guess what, I forgot to put it in when I placed the order. Right? But they're attempting to reach out to me. Now, who's going to reach out to me? All those things. Those are the things that really the retailers, I can tell you, the largest retailers, they're passing on the responsibility to their vendors.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're their vendor, you're in a B2B space, you're not transacting directly with the customer, but you're doing a B2B transaction. If you're not offering those capabilities and you're not solving the problem for the retailers, you're going to get dinged. Right? So it's a must. You need to treat it like a B2C and experience. And another aspect of it, less about the fulfillment, but more about the experience, is that, we are all consumers.
Yeah.
Right? Companies, at the end of the day, are built from people that are consumers or potential consumers, right, of different items. And the past 20 years have been a revolution for us, right? We've moved from just ordering from maybe off the TV or a paper catalog to online. And then we moved into the marketplaces where we can find a lot of products in one single place. Like, that's where the whole thing about Amazon, right, or Walmart marketplaces, that's their strength of why they became so popular, one of them. So when you're doing that as a consumer, you're expecting certain experience, a user experience, a buying experience.
Yeah.
And now you work as part of another business. And now, as that business, you need to place an order with your vendor. And that's also one of the ideas that led me to HomeRoots. But I remember being in shock when I had to purchase something from one of the vendors for a business, because the experience was totally different. Right? You need to send an email, sometimes a fax. If we're talking about 15 years ago or something, 10 years ago, some companies still work like that. And you need to make a phone call to order, all these things. What is this nonsense? I love shopping online.
Yeah.
I need to buy for my business. I want to have the same experience. Where's the same experience? So, and I think us as consumers, as customers, as employees of other companies, we are expecting it. So companies, wholesalers, manufacturers who do not provide the same experience, just gonna have a hard time transacting, because people don't have the patience right now to call for placing an order, or to fill in some paper and mail it or fax it or scan it and email it. Nobody wants to do it like this anymore. Those days are over. Even though those are over for my generation, and I have enough time before I retire. Not to mention the millennials and the Gen Zs. It ain't gonna fly. So you gotta stay current if you want to stay in business.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I mean, I think you kind of said it in there where the expectation is just getting higher, and I think it's kind of something that we see where especially I think we've been seeing more and more in the warehousing distribution industry, is where the consumer mindset is now like bleeding into our business mindset as well. Same with the technology that we're using. Why can't the technology be as easy to use as my smartphone is as easy to use, right? So even that, and that mindset of the B2B, like you said, I want to order something for my business. I want it now, just like I would go order something on Amazon or some other e-commerce website for myself at home, right? So it makes total sense, definitely. So very interesting perspectives and stories, and it's really interesting to hear what you're doing with HomeRoots, and glad to hear that it's continuing to grow and gain in popularity. So very interesting stuff from you today, Gil. I want to thank you for coming on the show. If people are interested in learning more about HomeRoots, how can they do that?
All right, so our website is homeroots.co. There is no M at the end. It's just homeroots.co over there. I mentioned it because we did have some confusions in the past, but that's our website. Everybody can go and visit. If somebody want to look me up, I'm mainly on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Just look for Gil.Bar-Lev, and they can find me on LinkedIn. And that's it. We're looking forward for hearing from other people, opinion, debates, comments, questions, you name it. Always welcome it. That's our only way of getting better, is through dialogue, respectful dialogue, and asking at times challenging questions.
Right.
And expecting an answer.
All right, great.
Good.
Yeah. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well. So, Gil, thank you once again for your time on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.